I shall miss my Little Women. What a classic line.
Welcome to Holiday Film Countdown. I'm Jamie Walter, and today we are going to New England.
That's right. This film is Little Women, our 18th ranked holiday film. Hello, I'm Tim Walter. This is a story of classic hearts, modern minds, and sisterhood. These March girls bring it all.
Our first guest is Cheryl Wood. Hi, Cheryl. Please let us know what you're drinking and give us a quick thought on Little Women.
Well, hi, Jamie. I am drinking a drink that is called a Seawood. It's a gin and tonic with some cranberry and lime.
All right. And what's your quick thought on Little Women?
I love it. I think it's such a great film. I hadn't seen it in several years, and now I've seen it twice in a week, and it's just a delight. I really like this version. I think that it has so much symbolism. I kind of went down a little rabbit hole with Louisa May Alcott, and I think it really reflects her family. So it's a favorite of mine.
Excellent. Great. Thanks for all the research. And our other guest is Lou Thompson. Hi, Lou. What are you drinking, and what's your thought on this film?
Hi, hi. I just finished a Seawood, so I am sipping on some ice cold water right now. But my thoughts on this film is that it's a tearjerker that makes you laugh. It really just, it makes me feel good. I feel like I've been growing up with it, every version of it as well. But I just love the story. You know, I relate to each character at a different time in my life. So
I'm also drinking a Seawood. It's a very nice gin and tonic with a splash of cranberry juice and a lime. And thanks to a Waterloo gin, it's very good. And my quick thought on the film is wholesome with so many different feelings that come up in that movie. I think I had a little bit of every feeling that you could have watching that film.
All right. And all around Seawoods here. That's where I am too,
Thanks to Cheryl.
with the Waterloo number 9 gin. And this film is ranked at number 18 because it's a classic Christmas tale, and this version of Little Women best bridges the gap between the yesteryear and the modern.
Little Women was released in 1994 and is based on the novel of the same name by Louisa May Alcott. That Little Women novel was published in 1868. Julian Armstrong directed this film.
The screenplay for this adaptation of Little Women was written by Robin Swicord. Other screenplay adaptations by Robin Swicord include Matilda, Practical Magic, Memoirs of a Geisha, and The Curious Case of Benjamin Button. Primary filming was in and around Vancouver, with certain scenes filmed in Massachusetts. Little Women stars Winona Ryder, Susan Sarandon, and Trini Alvarado, plus a bunch of familiar names we'll discuss later.
All right, Cheryl, you kind of said earlier your history. So you've seen it about how many times do you think?
6 or 7.
Okay, that's your background with it, all right.
It had been a while until I watched it again last week,
Mm-hmm.
and then to get to see it again tonight with all of you was a real treat.
Great.
And Lou, what's your history with this one?
well, I initially watched this movie as a kid because I saw Susan Sarandon on the cover and I was obsessed with her as a kid. I watched Rocky Horror Picture Show as a young child and I remember my mom saying this will be much different, but I do think we'll like it. But Little Women is just one of those movies I've had on all the time. It feels like I said I recently watched this without knowing we were even going to discuss the film.
Just out of nowhere, huh?
Yeah, just out of nowhere. Yeah, just
About a
really.
month ago?
Yeah, about a month ago, around my birthday.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Great. Yeah, I feel like I had seen most of it before we started looking at this film for the podcast, but I don't think I had sat down and watched the whole movie. It is quite long, but I felt like I had seen most of the parts. And then when Tim and I were getting our list together, of course, we had to watch all the movies. So now I guess I've watched it total and full at least twice, if not three times, but then I've seen some of the parts many times.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a longer film. I mean, I really wasn't interested in it. as a kid,
Yeah.
as a teenager, young adult. I knew the novel title because it is so well known and it's an American classic. And then I had picked up bits of it along the way, but I kept hearing that it's a Christmas movie and some version needs to be included here. So here it is. And so we saw it last summer, and then this summer, and then tonight.
That's right. All right, let's check out the trailer.
This holiday season, Columbia Pictures invites you to share the hopes,
I want to do something different.
the joys,
I have the most wonderful feeling about tonight.
and the dreams
Was she Rick?
of one of America's most beloved families. Winona Ryder, Little Women. Rated PG. At theaters everywhere, Christmas Day.
All right, so what do we think about the trailer?
I think it's a really good trailer. It captures the essence of the movie, introduces you to the characters. The sisters are, central to the film, and it really does give you a little glimpse into all of them.
I'm already tearing up. It's very much like a play. There's a few different acts. I love that you're going to grow with the character almost immediately. Kirsten Dunst does such a wonderful job as a little woman.
Definitely. I think it stayed true to what the film is. I think if I hadn't seen the movie prior to that, it would make me want to see it. I mean, I'm a sucker for a good love story, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like it brought out that it was going to have a lot of drama in it and some feel goods, but then some seriousness too. So I think it captured all of that.
Yeah, I feel like it gave snippets away, but didn't tell you the whole story so that you're wondering how it all ends and how it all fits together. You can tell there's a lot of drama, love, the background music, babies, but how's it all going to play out?
Yeah.
I think just knowing that it's four sisters, there's going to be a lot of drama.
All right, well, let's go inside the numbers. As mentioned, this version of Little Women was released in 1994. Also released that year was our number 38 ranked holiday film, The Ref. This film cost $18 million to make and grossed around $51 million at the North American box office and another $45 million internationally, for a worldwide box office total of around $96 million. So the net profit was just under $80 million. Here are some more numbers. 3, which is the number of Academy Award nominations for this version of Little Women. Those categories being Best Actress, Winona Ryder, Costume Design, and Original Score. It did, however, not win any Academy Awards. 4. 4 is the number of March sisters in the story. Meg, Jo, Beth, and Amy, in that order. Good luck keeping track. 7. 7 is the number of film versions of Little Women, 2 of which are silent movies. Other well-known versions include 1933 version starring Katharine Hepburn, a 1949 version with Elizabeth Taylor, and then a recent and well-known now 2019 version with Emma Watson, Timothy Chalamet. Is that Greta Gerwig directing?
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Little Women has a score of 3.9 out of 5 on Letterboxd, and we will all give our own reviews and scores later on. Anything about the numbers stick out?
The 7 adaptations. That's
Yeah.
wild.
Mhm.
I knew they made a lot, but that's why I knew the story so well.
Right.
Yeah.
For me, that in 94, that it grossed almost $80 million. I mean, this is a chick flick. And so I was very surprised that it was that popular, especially internationally.
Yeah, it's an American story.
Mhm.
That was a lot of money back then. It shows Winona Ryder's reach and Susan Sarandon, Lou's favorite.
Mm-hmm.
She had pull also.
Yeah, I think just having her, we're like, okay, I'm in, I'm going to watch it because she's just so good. She just did so well in this. I can't believe she didn't win. I mean, I'm not
me either.
surprised she was nominated.
I mean, I'm kind of thinking Claire Danes for Best Supporting Actress? I don't know, but we'll get into that later.
All right, well, let's talk about that. There's no denying that it is a Christmas film. It's a holiday film for sure. What do we think about it getting us into the holiday spirit? It starts out right away with all the snow on the ground, and we all agreed it looked like very real snow. Like it was really snowing. It wasn't the fake stuff that they do. What other things did we see that got us in the spirit?
And Cheryl knows real snow.
I
She has an Iowa State cup here,
I do.
and she is a native of Des Moines, Iowa, as am I.
Yes, and I think that the music as well, it just from the get-go, it just drew you in with the heavy brass. It sounded like a Christmas song.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so I think that just from word go, it just drew you in.
Yeah. I think the food,
Mhm.
even though there's not much, it's also in the spirit of giving. Like every meal is, I'll say, I think every meal that they have is around that time of year. But yeah.
All the food is cherished, especially fruit. It's a hot commodity.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's almost like it's their sweet treat, right? Because the candies like we do now.
Oh, yeah.
And they're in Massachusetts, so in the middle of winter, any fruit you can get your hands on, it's a big deal.
When Amy had the orange and she was, you know, holding it and then gave it up to give to the family in need. And so I thought that was very key.
I loved the garland. Like there was a lot of, I guess you would call it garland around. And throughout the whole movie, they were always picking flowers and carrying back baskets of flowers. But the wreaths and the garland really stuck out to me, bringing in the holiday feels. The setting was so long ago. Obviously, Christmas wasn't as commercialized, so you just don't have as many decorations as we did. But they did have a tree.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
There's
They
a
had a
tree
tree.
in the house, but no real Santa. Like they didn't
No.
talk about Santa. We didn't see a Santa anywhere. And as Cheryl kept bringing up, because there was no electricity, there were no real Christmas lights. There were candles everywhere, though, that we were a little nervous about.
Absolutely.
And so now we have fake candles
Right.
Yeah.
for Christmas decorations.
With the flicker, yes.
Yeah, so we didn't see Christmas lights around just because of that. But there was no denying it was Christmas time.
Yeah, checking the boxes, no elves, mistletoe, reindeer, not even eggnog.
Not even a snowman, even though there was a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Right?
There was ice skating.
That's true. It's true. That's a very Christmas thing to do.
Okay, well, let's move into the characters and actors. So let's talk about the March sisters, and we'll start with the oldest, Meg March, played by Trini Alvarado. She's mainly a stage actress with about 30 TV and film roles to her filmography. Let's talk about her. How do we feel about Meg?
I think she definitely stayed true to being the eldest sister, kind of the mother figure when the mother wasn't around.
I love that she was playful, that she got into the character. She wasn't too serious for their society.
Yeah.
But she did try and keep them in rows just a little bit, even more so than the mother did at times, like, oh, mother, why must you bring up corsets?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because they're getting that from the mother, that
Right.
she even played more of a, I don't think she played that very well.
Yeah.
Well, and I think she tried to play the part in society, as the oldest sister and to be married off. And so I think she tried to play that part, but because of the family and who they were, that was difficult.
Yeah, she wanted to be the typical, I don't know, I guess, young person at the time and do what society expected her to do, even though I don't know if deep down that's what she really wanted to be doing, but I think she felt like that's what she was supposed to be doing.
Yes.
I think she wanted to set that example for her sisters, even though she realized maybe that wouldn't be their way. She didn't want to ruin that way in case they chose it, if
Mhm.
that makes
Mhm.
sense.
Well,
Yeah.
there was pressure on her as the eldest too, to marry rich.
Right.
So when she fell in love,
Right. Yeah. Is it for money or is it for love?
All right, and then the next sister is Josephine March, played by Winona Ryder. I would say she was the most prominent in the film. Winona Ryder also appeared in Lucas, Heathers, Reality Bites, In recent years, we know her as Joyce on Stranger Things, kind of a resurgence for her. And we discussed her at length in our Edward Scissorhands episode a few weeks ago. By the way, that's our 30th ranked holiday film. So, what about Joe? She's the story here.
She played it so well. I mean, we all want to be Joe when she's, oh gosh, just so wild and so playful and so independent at the same time. But the rebel, really, she does that well throughout through the younger Joe to the Joe that's falling in love.
Yeah, and you also see a little bit of her innocence. Like, in some ways, she's a little childlike, even though she's really coming of age. And I feel like she does a good balance of that, of just being carefree, even though they're in a time when society really makes them have to care about every little thing that they do.
And like I said, I did a little deep dive into Louisa May Alcott, and I believe she wrote that part for herself. I mean, that was her. And as I looked at the things that she wanted to do, and there were periods of time when she would go to school and not go to school. And when she would go to school, she was a tomboy. She wanted to play with the boys. She wanted boys as friends. She wanted to play sports with the boys. And in that time, in the late 1800s, they wouldn't let her do that.
Right.
And that was really difficult for her.
Yeah, I could see, just like in the story, how she had to change her name to Joseph on her writings so that it would get published.
Yeah, if Louisa May wanted to do all that, her best chance was to write about it at that point in time.
It was.
Catharsis.
In my heart of hearts, I wanted to think that maybe Joe was a lesbian.
Could have been.
I did, because several different times, she'd say, if I was a boy, I'd want to look just like that, when she was talking about Laurie.
Mm-hmm.
Another time when she danced with her sister, she always did the boys' part.
Right.
She wanted to be just like her father and fight the demons in the war.
Yeah, she said that, right?
Mm-hmm. So there were lots of times, I think, where, she was talking about wanting to be a boy. And when they needed money for the ticket for Marmee, the mother, to go to the father's side when he got, and she cut her hair off.
Yeah.
For me, that screamed, this is my chance to rebel and look like a boy and cut my hair off. And
Right.
so that kind of spoke to me when she did that. And I wondered, what symbolism was that?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah. Could totally see that. In that era, that's about what she could do.
Oh,
This
definitely.
is as much as she could get away with,
Yes.
as we could phrase it now.
Mm-hmm.
Right, and it was acceptable because she was using the money for her mother to go see her sick father.
Yes.
She sold her hair.
Yeah.
What a selfless act.
Yes.
All right. The next March sister is Beth Elizabeth, played by Claire Danes. She plays a less loyal sister in our number 42 ranked holiday film, The Family Stone. So, just saying that. A little tease there. Go back and check that out. We had some good comments in that one. How do we feel about Beth?
I think Beth gave us her all, truly. The yearning that she has. I mean, it is tragic to feel like all of your sisters are accomplishing, and to think to yourself like, oh, I didn't even dream that big. I always loved home, but I didn't want to be left behind. But she called everybody back in such a way, she reminded them of why you couldn't get it out of their hearts. But was that because she never left? I don't know. But, she wasn't going to not give that family any food, she wasn't not going to expose herself. She was very mature throughout the whole film, even before.
And I love the role that she played of the giving heart.
Absolutely.
That was always thinking of others. They had this beautiful feast in front of them, and well, maybe we could give them our bread. And then Joe goes, well, butter's not any good without the bread. We might as well give them that too.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when Amy, the orange that she was clutching, she put it right in the center of the bread. And I was just like, okay, that was so sweet.
I mean, yeah, even how she got sick was because she went to the family's house
Mhm.
and was trying to help them out and held the baby that had the scarlet fever, and then she got it. So it was through her giving, kind heart, looking out for others.
They all valued their family, but she put the family above everything. And then the broader family, the little community, as Cheryl mentioned. So she just had that huge heart. And so I was drawn to her.
And a beautiful piano player.
Yes.
That too.
Yeah, she's a really wonderful musician.
All right. And the youngest sister was Amy March. So we have Kirsten Dunst playing young Amy March up until her teen years. And we know her from many films, including Jumanji, the early 2000s Spider-Man trilogy, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, Mona Lisa Smile. What do you all think of Kirsten Dunst and her role as a youngster?
Oh, she's perfect. I just thought she was so great in that.
It was like the petulant child, you know, I mean, when she didn't get to go to the opera, you know, she burned her sister's manuscript. That really broke my heart. But I think that they really showed that she wanted to be included, but she was the little one and she didn't want to get left out.
Yeah, I think she did a good job portraying like that feeling of being left out. And being the youngest can be hard because you can't do what everyone else is doing. And in her case, she couldn't go to the dances that her sisters were going to because she was too young. Yeah, she did a good job playing that role. And then when she did throw her sister's manuscript in the fire, just when she came home and they realized what had happened, you could see that it was, I mean, she was angry, but then a little regretful. I mean,
When
don't
she
know.
stood in the doorway and that little soft voice that goes, I'm so sorry.
yeah,
Yeah, she
you're like, oh, because when you're little, you can't always handle your emotions, right? And so I don't think she really meant to be, she just got caught up in the moment, is what I think. I think she wanted her sister to feel the pain that she felt for not, for being left out. But I don't think she really meant to be that cruel to her sister. Just, she's a little girl and got caught up with her emotions.
one of my favorite scenes she does is when they tell her to hide the bows as Beth is coming down the stairs. She's like, hide the bows. She's like, what do I do with them? And she hides them under the aunt's dress. She's like, oh,
Sticks them underneath.
here's this. But yeah, to that point that she never gets what she wants. It's like as the next chapter of her life enters, she really gets a lot of opportunities that the other March sisters thought that they really wanted, or worked for in a different way. And Amy was just very quiet because she missed out on a few other things. I think she was given those opportunities because she did sit on her hands and she did kind of mind her manners a little bit more than her older, louder sisters.
True. True.
Because she was the one that got to go to Europe, right, with her aunt.
Mm-hmm.
And she ended up with Lowry at the end.
Yeah.
I mean, so she got, yeah.
And she loved him from a young age. You
I
know, she was
know.
not shy about telling everybody how handsome she thought
Yeah.
he was, and oh, I'm sure you could take that back. You know, It's
Right.
like, no, she didn't. She didn't know what she wanted, but Amy always did know what she wanted.
True.
Very true. So sometimes you just got to be patient, let it all play out.
Yeah.
And Samantha Mathis played the older version of Amy March. Samantha Mathis was in The American President and American Psycho. And I've just got to make this special note because this person was really important to me when I was in that time. She was hanging out with River Phoenix when he OD'd and died in 1993.
Oh my.
She was dating him and she was with him, and they were at the Viper Room. He OD'd, she went to the hospital with him, and he passed away. And that was my favorite actor at the time. Okay, and then the mother, Marmee. Real name, Abigail March, by the way. Played by Susan Sarandon. As mentioned earlier, Rocky Horror Picture Show. Then Bull Durham, Thelma and Louise. Iconic, we say that sometimes around here, but those are iconic titles. And she was also in our number 49 holiday film, Bad Moms Christmas, where she was the worst mom. Here, I pretty much turned to everyone and said, I think she's the best mom ever, at least of the 19th century.
I would agree.
She could not have been more perfect as a mother.
Yeah, and just being her, she delivered it all so well. I mean, it felt so genuine as she's, raising her young daughters to kind of think on their own, and it wasn't quite exactly the way other girls were being raised at that time. She was a little, she kind of forward thinking there on her
Mhm.
part.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I think Susan, she was so fiercely independent. She was almost sharper than Joe. I want to know her story of how she found her husband and how she decided to raise them in such a way because I mean, they were in such a society that for her to go against that grain at such a young age, or with the girls rather, it's very interesting to watch.
Yeah, she in her own way was so independent because here her husband was off at war and she's doing everything with four young girls, raising them. She did such a great job of not getting flustered by any of the chaos of having four daughters in the house screaming, yelling, drama going on, which happens when you have children in the house. But she did a really good job, her character, of coming in, and her punchlines of were so great. We can get into that with some quotes later, but
Well, I loved her response to when the teacher struck
oh
Amy,
yeah,
and she was going to write a letter.
yeah,
And she wrote it all down, and then she asked, do you think you could have the discipline to stay and study at home like your sister? And so then she went, and she will not be returning.
yeah.
And I love the thing she added at the end. It was good.
Mm-hmm.
She was the consummate adult
Yes.
because her mother was difficult. Her kids could be difficult. Or was that her mother? Her sister.
They never explained that.
Aunt.
Yeah.
It was the kid's aunt,
I
right?
think it was maybe her husband's sister.
Okay. Her sister-in-law was difficult. Her husband was away at war. Money was tight. She just kept her head up, kept marching forward with grace, took care of business, did all the household stuff. There's a lot going on there.
And it was so interesting as she was getting ready to leave to go be by her husband's side, she was telling the girls, these are all the things you need to know and do, and you've got money here and you've got this thing. And she was just getting the ducks in a row
Yeah.
before she left so that they could handle it.
Right.
She handled her daughter's illness extremely well,
Oh, yes.
better than the doctor.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Came
So-
in and knew exactly what to do.
She was amazing.
Yeah.
All right, let's cover some other characters here. We have Laurie, Theodore Lawrence, going by Laurie, played by Christian Bale. And he is, well, Batman.
Mhm.
He's a very serious actor. He really gets into his roles, and he has 4 Oscar nominations and 1 win. And I know we have fans here. So what do we think of Laurie?
I loved his character. I thought he played it so well, and they developed him so well, I think, with him starting out as the boy next door that was being held captive, and then brought him into their circle as a brother, and then he went away to study music again, but then he got serious and did business. I mean, the development of him was, I thought, done very well.
Yeah, I totally agree with what Cheryl is saying. It's like he just wanted some entertainment. So he wanted to be the girls' friends, at first. And then, right, as his character developed, then he became much more and went on to do things. But he's so charming and he played that role well. And he always seemed to know what to say with those girls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he knew how to tease them like an
He
older
did.
brother really well. I do love it when they thought that the tutor thought the girls would soften him a little. And that is not what they did.
No.
They actually brought it out in him.
Yeah.
He was so imaginative. He wanted so badly to be a part of their playhouse and their society. Like he hid just to, pop out and share his enthusiasm. And I mean, a tearjerker moment for me is when he presents them with the mailbox.
Oh, yeah.
And I love that sentiment, an immediate gesture of just a really genuine gesture of what it is. I want to play, I want to imagine, but I also want to grow with this. This is sticking around, and I love that he brought that tradition to that home.
Yeah.
And then Lou mentioned the tutor,
Yes.
John,
Mhm.
played by Eric Stoltz. And 80s kids know him from Mask, Some Kind of Wonderful, and at least 4 Cameron Crowe films. So he was around. He was kind of one of those guys you knew his face, maybe not his name. Not often the lead, more of a character actor.
Hmm.
But what do we think of John, the tutor?
I like that the way you were describing him. It's like his character does not need many words to read his face, and I think that that's how he gets Meg. You can tell that there's so much more going on with him than I think the very stoic, studious, tutor he needs to be. And he's like, no, we must abide by these certain ways. And I think the girls bring that out in everybody. And definitely brought it out in Meg.
I thought it was just a little creepy that he carried around Meg's glove in his pocket.
But I think for the time, that's a perfect gesture. I
Yes.
think that's the only thing you really can do. He didn't have a photo of her, he didn't have anything else. And so to have that small piece of her, even though she had to borrow her mother's because of that.
Yeah.
Um,
He knew he might see her again if he had that glove.
yeah.
Correct.
And his character juxtaposed against Laurie was so great because they were so different. And he was such a scholarly gentleman, an intellectual of the time, wanting to know about the whole world and how everything works. And Laurie was just kind of concerned with his little world, having a good time. He just kind of wanted to have his lifestyle and play around with music. Was it music?
Yes.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Well, and when John came and offered to escort the mother on the train, I thought that was such a noble gesture on John's part. Very, very sweet.
Noble and, hey, I like your oldest daughter.
Yeah.
I mean, both.
But look, I can step up and be an adult and a man.
Sure. All right. And then we have to mention Friedrich, played by Gabriel Byrne. He's been in 50 plus films and mostly known for The Usual Suspects. That would be the most likely other place to see him. What do we think of Friedrich?
At first, because we watched Joe grow, I'm like, you are too old for that young woman. But,
I thought that too.
I was thinking, like, I don't know about this professor coming in like this, but they
too.
muddle the timeline a little bit with that. Like, Joe is supposed to be much older by the time Beth passes away and she inherits the school. And they couldn't trade out Winona for anybody else at that time,
Yes,
the girls.
she played a, let's say, 15, 16-year-old all the way up to, let's say, maybe early 30s, late 20s.
Yeah, I would
Yes.
say that because she's getting into that spin. She really didn't marry for quite some time. But yeah, he's the catalyst. He's what kind of pushes her to really become her own writer and not just writing stories for her sisters and starting to write stories about her sisters or about her adulthood. And that was a tough conversation for Joe to take.
It was.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I thought he was a little old as well. And then I thought, well, in that time, that was not unusual for someone of Joe's age to have a suitor that was as old as the professor. So it made more sense.
At first, when he was kind of denying her writing as being good or worthy, I thought, is he jealous? Like, I couldn't figure out why.
Mhm.
I'm like, is it because he wanted to be publishing writings? But I think you're right, Lou, that it's like he just wanted to push her and get her out of her own head, so to say, and to be better, that he could see that she could do better than what she was doing. But at first, I was like, who is this creep? First he's kind of like coming on to her, then he's like down on her. But no, I get what it was hard for me to figure him out at first.
I'm totally there with you.
Intentions were.
Mm-hmm.
That is Louisa May Alcott genius.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
that's what she wanted you to do.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as Cheryl mentioned, it's semi-autobiographical. And she probably had that experience where she had to come out of writing about others and bring her own stories to light.
Yeah, and then by the end, when he comes to bring her published novel, then I'm like, okay, I totally get it now. I was okay with it. I was fine with it then because he had made the trip, and I was like, okay, he does have a good heart, and he was happy for her because he didn't have to do that.
And he knew how important that was
Was
to her.
Yeah, you're right.
And she was a little older by then,
Yeah.
maybe another year.
Yeah, we'll give her another
I was,
year.
I was
Every
feeling
year
a little
counts.
better about that.
Yeah.
Any other minor characters stick out to you all? Any other favorites?
Just the cats, those little kittens when they first came along were so cute. They're just like walking all over the bed, and it's just so sweet. That little white one looked like it was almost wet. Its fur was kind of mingled. It just looks so cute.
I love their aunt. That never changes with how disappointed she is with just about everything, but
Yeah.
she's always there. And I think that she can tell that their family bond is really strong there, that she's probably grew up around a lot of people that left. There's doesn't seem to be any other family visitors, whether they've passed on or moved away. And
Right.
even though she's doesn't find them as tasteful as she wishes they were. She's got this big house with nothing to do in it. She's there at every Christmas. She's there at, the bedside.
Always there.
Yes, yes. Maybe poking a little bit, but
But
always there.
as Laurie, they were in Europe, and the young man is walking off with Amy, the suitor, and Laurie goes, "Well, are they engaged yet?" And the aunt goes, "Not yet." And she just keeps right on going. That was so good. I really liked Mr. Lawrence. I thought he started out as this very rough, I know what's best for my grandson kind of character. And then he just kind of softened, and, when he gave the piano to Beth, and
Yes.
I mean, that was so adorable. Just touched my heart, just very touching.
Yeah, perhaps maybe he wasn't always that way. They just kind of looked at him that way. Because that was a sweet gesture to
Mhm.
give the piano. And then maybe we kind of realized where he was coming from because he said, I had a daughter
Yes.
and she had passed away. She could no longer play, so I'm giving it to you. And then you're like, okay, well, maybe he wasn't the mean old man. Maybe he was just going through sorrow.
It's
you
a
know?
heartbreak, yes.
He sent the doctor over immediately when
Right.
Beth was
Yes.
sick, and they couldn't afford that. But hey, this is my
Right.
personal physician.
Right.
He's got this bit of a loose cannon grandson who he knows is pretty much a trust fund kid who's taken care of, but he wants him to make something of himself besides just being a goof off.
Yeah,
Trust fund baby.
yeah.
I think at one point in the film they said that Amy was describing, all you do is spend your family's money on frivolous things, on chasing women, and
All right, well, since we've gone over the actors and actresses, let's get into the scenes, which we've said a few already. Are there any of your favorite scenes that you want to bring up? One that really sticks out to you?
I mentioned the mailbox. I love that scene, and then it recalls throughout the whole film. So you grow, and when she grabs the pear later in the
I
yes,
know.
I
you
love
you
the pair.
she's there. I love when they're young and they're dancing at the ball, but in the side room away from everybody.
Yeah.
I always have to play the boys' part, but
Right.
I love that because it's when they really become friends. They've been neighbors, but oh no, he insists to take Meg home that evening, and
Well,
I
and
love that.
he was hiding because he
Yes.
didn't know anyone.
Right.
And she was hiding from that young man that looked like he was coming to ask her to dance. And so they were hiding together, which was so good.
Yeah, I think they both kind of felt out of place. They didn't totally belong there, even though it was what they needed to do at the time. And so it was cute that they just gravitated towards each other and then almost mocked it, I think, the way they
They
were
were.
dancing.
Yeah.
It was cute. That was a sweet moment.
Yeah, I like the scene where the girls are together doing dress up and playing roles, and then Joe is suggesting that they maybe admit someone who could play another part, and then she says, "How about Laurie?" And then he appears out of nowhere, and then he becomes a member of the Pickwick Society. That was just like, okay, he's officially part of the family. Then he said later that he wanted to marry into the family, but that was kind of the turning point for those dynamics where all the girls accepted him into the group.
Yeah, as a part of the family. I like the way it opened up because they're getting ready for breakfast and they have all the food there, like we talked about, and you realize how precious and special that is. Like, it's Christmas morning, right? Wasn't it Christmas morning when they were doing the Christmas breakfast? And there are no presents, but they're just so excited about the food that's on the table with the bread and the butter and the orange. And you really get a feel for just how simple things are. You know, the things that, I mean, unfortunately, but it's what, and fortunately, we take that for granted that we have food on our tables and not everyone does. And especially during that time, things were hard. It was not like us, but it was cute. And then just how sweet it was that they just packed it all up and took it on over to the other. Even though they were so excited about having it, they really didn't think twice about packing it up and taking it to someone who's less fortunate than them, you know.
Absolutely.
That was a tone setter for the whole movie.
I think so. Like, you really felt, okay, you know, they're just such I don't know if I want to say wholesome, but like really what family should be, I think.
And Beth led the way on that.
It's true. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
that was her role in the family.
Yeah.
All right. What about the saddest? There were some sad scenes.
Okay, so I really liked the way that they used the wind outside the window
Yes.
when Beth passed away, because she's there and the window's open and Joe goes over to close it and does it, but the wind is outside, and it's like it was like her soul was leaving.
Yes.
That to me it was just
I know. Even you saying that gives me chills.
yes, yes.
But, and I felt it when I was watching it too.
Me too.
I love the words that they gave Beth, just to say, like, she's not scared. I'm not scared. You know, I'm going to miss being here, even in heaven, but I'm okay to go. Like, like she knew it was time. And I just felt like it was so elegantly put, but then it kind of made you feel a little bit better, but then it was just still such a hard moment. Oh my gosh, I know. Pulled on my heartstrings.
Joe's manuscript, when you see it burning, is like the first loss that she really feels, and she's mature enough to really understand, like, I'm rightfully upset right now. I am not throwing a tantrum, which is what her sister did. She threw a tantrum. She was upset she couldn't go to something, and she was very angry, but Joe was sad. And that sadness, I think, is something that was really beautiful to see after Amy was recovering from her cold after falling into the water, and she's reminding about a great battle or something, and Joe goes to like write it back. Oh, of course, like how could I forget about that? Because she's trying to rewrite what was thrown in the fire, and it like loops back on itself.
Right.
I'm just like, oh, and they're growing up.
Would we say that was early meta?
Oh yes,
Okay.
yeah,
Absolutely.
And though they don't spend much time on it in this version of Little Women, but when Lori tells Joe that she has married Amy, it's a brief moment at that foyer, right at the entryway of your door, right before your sister gives you this big hug. And to swallow that emotion of knowing that this is so right for our family, and I am just so happy both of them are here, but to know that I said no to this, but there was still a part of me that wanted it. The last note she wrote to him was faithfully yours. Almost hoping like I'm still kind of waiting, or I'm always here. And though she was in a deep state of grief while writing that, I think there is still a part of her that was hoping that he would run immediately to her, and she runs to her sister.
Right.
Though he was closer to her still,
Yes.
he was deciding what he really wanted, and he had already been rejected by Joe, and there's Amy saying, you have to know what you want in life.
Yeah.
Faithfully is a good word because it leaves it a little bit open, right?
Yes, yes.
It's not the L word.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I found those dynamics so bizarre. I mean, I have a sister, and and I think like neither one of us could ever date someone that the other one. I mean, I don't know, much less marry like
Yeah.
someone that had proposed to the other sister. I mean, I just felt like those dynamics were so interesting. I'm like, wow.
it would only work in a family where they're not around each other that much.
Yeah.
And they're such a tight family, that's not going to work.
Yeah, they did send Amy off for a while.
Yeah.
You know, while her sister had scarlet fever, she was away.
Yes.
And so I think what they try to justify it with is her time in Europe. You know, she really grew up over there. They fell in love there. And Joe, you were at school, or you know, but to watch that, you know, it really. I mean, she really did make a decision of like, I love them both so much in my life that it's that unrequited love. You know,
I'm gonna be okay with this.
I'm gonna be okay with this, but
Any other scenes y'all want to talk about?
I really wish that they had shown the school opening, because Joe does get that school open, and I think it's a missing scene in the film, though, that she does get it open.
Oh, that does happen.
It does happen.
So it could have been the sequel, Big Women.
Yeah, yeah. Larger women. But yeah, she does get the school open, and I think that's a really almost a missed piece there. And you do see it a little bit at the end of knowing that he's going to be the professor,
Yeah.
and work alongside her. But
The 1 hour and 58 minutes was right there.
yeah.
So they're like, we can't make it a 2 hour movie.
Yes, in Greta's, I think they push it to that like 10 minutes, and they do show Joe at the school, because I do think that was something that really fulfilled her.
Right.
Yeah, and she's the main character, so
She talks about it a little bit more. She doesn't not want children, but the school provides her with a house full of children at the same time.
right. Plus she has a niece and a nephew.
Mm-hmm.
Twins. All right. Quotable lines. Does anyone have any quotes they want to bring back from the film?
Oh, I've got a few.
All right.
I
Let's hear
really
one.
do. There's like two that happen back to back that come from Joe, but one is, I'd commit murder to go to college. Like, she is just a learner at heart, you know. She wants to break free of that, you know. She wants to be a boy, you know. She knows it's easier for them to go to school, and
I
just,
caught that one too.
yeah, Laurie's just dragging his feet. Like, can you believe it? They know me to go, and
And also to your quote, Lou, earlier in the film, she had said she loves violence.
Yeah.
So that just fits in with that quote.
yeah, yeah. And then I think she just met Laurie. They just had the dance at the party. You know, she was just starting to become friends with him, and they're like, "Oh, Laurie's a boy," and he's just like, "Laurie's not a boy. He's just Laurie," you know. And I love that, because she early sets the tone with him of, he's one of us. Like, he's a part of the family.
Yeah.
There was a point where all the girls were hugging her before she left, and she said, "I shall miss my little women." And I was just like, what a classic line.
We'll tell Father that we love him. Tell him we pray for him. I'll bring him home. I'll never forget his kindness. Oh, Anna, thank you. I shall miss my little women.
Yeah, I like when Joe was so upset about her manuscripts being burned, and the mom is consoling her, and she says, "Don't let the sun go down with your anger." And I thought, wow, that's a really good line, because it's basically saying, like, don't go to bed angry, like you need to get over this.
Settle up with your sister
Yeah.
before you end the day. But she didn't.
She did not.
No, she did not.
Not that
night.
day.
Not that day.
Well, I feel like, I mean, I love that line, and I think it's really good, but I think it was asking a bit much, because, you know, when something bad has happened to you, sometimes you just need time to get over it, and she probably needed to take some time to get over that. So I'm not going to blame her for that. And sometimes it is good to actually go to bed angry before you speak, and then maybe think about it in the morning after a good night's sleep, instead of reacting.
regret. Or doing something you'll regret. And
And their way to show that relationship was mending is when Amy fell through the ice,
Right. Definitely.
and all her sister could think about was pulling her out.
Yeah.
That she had realized at that moment, I think I'm over it.
Yeah. Well, she realized that's not what's important.
Yeah.
That's silly of me, because what's important is to have my sister here with me. Also, there are just so many good lines. I feel like the way the mother mothered the girls, she said, I can't really remember which one. Y'all can tell me which one she said it to. That you can't live an ordinary life because you're extraordinary.
It was Joe.
Joe. I just thought, wow, that was a great mother moment to say. It was just so, just right where it needed to be at that point, you know,
Mhm.
like, don't worry about it. You're extraordinary. That's not you anyway.
Well, Joe had just been going on and on about I don't fit in anywhere.
Right.
And for her to say that it was right on point.
Right.
I also like it when Frederique is like, "Do you drink wine?" She's like, "Only medicinally." It's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, pretend you have a cold.
Yeah, I know.
Put a drink in your hand, and so we can sit around and
Right.
philosophize together. You know, I like that he pushed her into that adulthood a little
Right.
bit. You know, well, it's been kind of a glass of wine here and there. It's like
Right.
join us in the discussion.
Well, and it was all men too, right?
Yes.
Wasn't She
Mhm.
was the only female, so I think he was like, don't set yourself apart. Like you're trying to have this conversation with all these men here. Be one of them, you know,
Mhm.
or somewhat like them.
Yeah.
So
It'll help the thoughts flow.
Yeah.
And even though you're quote unquote from the March family of temperance, you remember
Yes.
that?
The March family of temperance.
You can imbibe. I've got a few. So we've got young Amy March saying, butter, oh, butter. Isn't butter divinity? I like that.
Mhm.
I think someone kind of alluded to that earlier here. And then Joe, when she said, I go around throwing away perfectly good marriage proposals
Yeah.
like it's a commodity.
Yeah.
Mhm.
She's just tossing them around. And then my final one is from old man Lawrence to young Teddy Laurie, Christian Bale. He says, now put the carriage away and look smart about it. Because we talked about that.
Mhm.
I'm going to use that on one of my kids.
do something and look smart
And
about
look
doing
smart
it.
about it.
I mean, that's just a way to state that. I get what he's saying. Don't fumble, be intentional, get it done.
Right. So what would you say the moral of the story is?
I would say it's a very progressive, empowering, just really like always come back to yourself and those that know you the best when you're feeling uncertain. Because there are so many little moments that everybody kind of has with each other. You know, there's small moments where Lori and Meg are really growing up together. And then he does the same with all of them because they're doing it all together. You know, even the sisters with the quiet moments they have together. So I think for me, it's about, if you're feeling lost, look inward. And inward is also like our family, our friends.
Right.
To me, it felt like it was about moving forward, that there was not a lot of looking back, and it was usually about moving on and moving forward. And I don't know if that has to do with them being transcendentalists, because they talked about that in the film. And I know that in real life, Louise May Alcott, her family they were transcendentalists. And I mean, she had the privilege of growing up with other famous transcendentalists of the time, Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. And they were at her house frequently.
Wow.
And that came out in the story some, and had to do with Joe being the writer.
Mm-hmm.
And so some of those characters in New York could have related to those other authors that you mentioned.
Mm-hmm. Definitely.
I had a takeaway in that even kids with perfect parents are still going to have their struggles and their challenges to overcome. And you cannot create a world where your kid is totally insulated. They've got to experience the world, and that's what happens to them all, even though their parents are pretty much impeccable. That was my takeaway.
I mean, you give them the good foundation. I mean, as a retired teacher, it's like you give them the good foundation and then put them out in the world, and you hope that they're going to make good choices.
Yes.
All right. Hot takes. Let's get into hot takes. We have any here?
Hot takes. I mean, I think the hottest take for me is really that love triangle between the sisters. You know, there's a part of me that really wishes that Amy had said no. That she had said, you are too wild for me. And just as you're becoming tame, Joe is thinking of opening a school. And there's another part of me that wishes that story went that way. You know, I love that Joe found somebody, but I think I'll always have there's one reason I go back to this film so much, and it is because of that. That will they, won't they? The love that doesn't. Are you settling, or were you growing into something new? And I think I'll always mull that over if they were settling or if they were happy.
Or if he just wanted to be part of the family.
Yeah, yeah.
And mine plays into yours a little bit in that Amy really should not have asked in front of the whole family if Joe was okay with it. That was a private conversation to be had in a side parlor,
Mhm.
not in the main family room.
Yes.
Yes.
I was like, really, Louisa May, you wrote that?
Yes. Yes.
Did she?
Yeah, she did.
She hit everything else perfectly. I thought that was off.
Yeah. I think a letter in the mailbox could have there could have been something that could have eased that a little bit more.
There are private moments with your sister. That was a public moment.
Mhm.
I mean, that has to be mine too. I said it earlier. I just feel like that dynamic is a little weird. It's kind of,
Well, but then just turning the knife in front of everyone.
Mhm.
Why?
Yeah. Joe, I hope you find happiness. They don't know that she's
Beyond the awkwardness of the arrangement that Jamie's uncomfortable with, to just put it all out there like that.
you would probably say something before you got married too. I mean, she shows up and they're already married.
Right.
Yes.
Like you would say, hey, guess who's courting me? How do you feel about that?
Yes.
Have a conversation. Like,
Yeah,
do you go
a letter
forward?
or two.
Yeah.
It seemed like they were all writing to each other fairly
Right.
frequently.
Yes.
They had a great mailbox.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they all like to write and create and yeah.
My other hot take is that Claire Danes has the best chin quiver in history.
That was
Yes.
good.
Yes.
You'll notice when you rewatch this.
She said no lines during her audition. She just quivered the chin. And they said, get her in here.
Yeah. You got
see
it.
this.
Where do we sign?
All right. Any other hot takes or are we good with that? Good with that? All right. Okay. The parent guide is PG. What do we think about that? Is it PG?
I'd say this is fairly PG. Yeah,
Me too.
absolutely.
Yeah, I
There's-
totally agree.
She barely drinks the wine.
Yes.
She's,
She's just holding the cup.
yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kissing. Okay.
Yeah.
And some words that were off color for the day, but totally on color for now.
Absolutely.
And the kissing, a lot of it was very awkward.
It did seem a little.
Yes.
Yeah.
It didn't look that fun, so
It didn't
that
look that
keeps it-
fun.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a lower PG. That's
Wait.
not pushing 13.
Yeah.
correct.
Like PG-6.
Like Meg and John in the doorway, I'm like, really? And Joe's watching him going, ooh.
Yeah.
All right, let's cover the soundtrack. Not much to it. We had classical background music with trumpets that felt like the holiday season. Cheryl loved it. I
did.
agreed. We had Deck the Halls and Hark the Herald Angels Sing as our traditional Christmas tunes mixed in there. Was that at the piano with?
Mhm.
That was at the piano with
Yeah.
Beth playing. And then the opera was by George Bizet, and it's called The Pearl Fishers. And that's where that opera scene was from.
Ah,
I loved that scene, watching the guys move the waves in the background.
Yeah.
So fun.
and just before the kiss, they get the thunder.
A lot happens backstage. So
It does.
So Cheryl, what would you rate this film 1 to 5 and why? And remember, it's 3.9 on Letterbox. So decimals are okay to use.
I love this film. So I am going to give it a 4.3.
Okay.
I think that it was well acted. Love the music, as we just talked about. There were so many memorable things from it. So 4.3.
All right.
And Lou, what's your score on this film?
as I've grown with it, I mean, I give it a 3.8. I feel I'm close to it, with it being a great film, but it doesn't quite give me the love story I want. It teases me. I don't quite fall for Laurie and Amy's love in the way that I know they want me to. And I don't quite tear up fully in the way that, I wish there was a little bit more pause with some of the with some of the moments that, well, shape all the characters. But I still love the film. But because it doesn't take me there the whole way, I think that's why we're watching it often, but
Yeah, this is a tough one for me. I think I'm gonna give it a 4, just a straight up 4, because I feel like the acting is wonderful in this. I mean, I just feel like, wow, they really play their characters well. The story is good, but I'm with you, Lou. Some of it, I just kind of question it, like, what? Doesn't make sense. And maybe that's what we're supposed to do. Sometimes that can just be the purpose. So I'm giving it a 4.
Okay. And I'm going to say that it's so well made. I love the cinematography. You all mentioned the acting, but I think the director did a phenomenal job. I think Letterboxd is correct. I think it's a 3.9, and I'm going to stick it right there, 3.9.
Okay. Cheryl, would you recommend this film to someone? And if so, to whom would you recommend it?
I would absolutely recommend this film. I think that it's a good family Christmas movie.
Mm-hmm.
It was released on Christmas Day, 1994. And I think it would be more of a chick flick, and I think maybe some of the younger male members of the family might not like it. But I think they could maybe relate to Laurie or, some of the other characters. So
Yeah.
And Lou, would you recommend it? And if so, to whom?
absolutely. Definitely recommend the film. I recommend the story in general, but at different times in life, I would say to my 15-year-old, 16-year-old nieces, absolutely watch the film. And then when they're 22, 23, I'm like, absolutely watch this with your boyfriend. Because I do think that there's, I go back to it being a play and then many chapters that you get to experience. And I think this is why this film finds people at different stages in their life. Like, oh, I didn't watch that when I was growing up, but they're like, oh, I really discovered it, at a friend's house, or they had it on, or maybe you caught a couple clips here and there, and to have the story all be pieced together, I think is great to sit down and fully watch it.
Yeah, I would recommend it to maybe not to young kids. I'm thinking like preteen and older, just because I feel like younger kids would be bored and wouldn't get it. It's too long for them, but anyone else, because it's a great story.
I would recommend it to someone who is either into literature and classic novels, or to someone in their 20s, guys or girls, in a theater where it's on a big screen. You can't be distracted by your device and you can lock in on it and watch it with a crowd. I think that would be the best experience with this film.
perhaps at the Paramount.
That would be a good spot.
Okay, I'm just asking,
Would be a good spot.
asking for a friend.
Cheryl, what is your favorite holiday film?
That is such a difficult question for me. I really like Die Hard.
Okay.
Really like Die Hard. And yes, I think it's a Christmas film.
So do we.
I like Die Hard, and I know it's a Christmas film. Stay tuned, it's coming. Lou, what is your favorite holiday film?
It recently changed, but I don't know if you guys have seen the movie Klaus. It's animated, and it is about the origin story of Santa told through the postal service. And I love that film so much. It is, I think it came out in 2019 or something. So I think I used to say The Grinch Who Stole Christmas with Jim Carrey. I love that. Very funny. But I've become a little bit more sentimental. And so as funny as this one is, I love an animated film. And this is just draws your heartstrings, really.
We covered that one.
Oh,
Number 27,
I love that.
highly regarded,
Hmm.
highly ranked by Letterboxd and everyone. Very well made. And so Jim Carrey's How the Grinch Stole Christmas is coming up.
Wow, a lot to look forward to.
That's right.
Yeah, I love it.
Lou, is there anything you'd like to promote?
Yes, I'd like to promote the Zilker Hillside performances and plays. They do a summer series, but they have plays throughout the year, and they're a local nonprofit. So check them out.
All right. I've been there. It's great.
Me too.
And thank you guys. This was so much fun.
This is great
Yeah.
fun.
You're
Good,
welcome.
good.
All right, thank you for joining this discussion of our 18th ranked film, Little Women. Please like, follow, and comment on this podcast.
Yes, please share and spread the word about Holiday Film Countdown. Thank you, Cheryl and Lou, for joining us. And thanks to all of our listeners. Next week, we're moving on to our 17th ranked holiday film, which will take us to London.